Let's start by diving deep into an essential topic for personal growth and well-being: the 5 things you should never accept from anyone. This is crucial for anyone who wants to create a life of empowerment, joy, and true transformation. So let's explore how your thoughts and emotions shape your reality and why setting clear boundaries is vital for your personal evolution. Let's start by understanding how our thoughts and emotions impact our lives. Our thoughts are powerful. They send signals into the quantum field, and these signals carry information about what we want and who we are. But it's not just about having positive thoughts. It's about the energy and emotion behind those thoughts. The elevated emotion is like a carrier for the thought. When you combine a clear intention with an elevated emotion, you create a strong, coherent energy that influences your reality. It's like tuning a radio dial to the exact frequency you want. This means that what you allow into your life and how you respond to it directly affects what you attract and create. So let's get into the 5 things you should never accept from anyone. These are not just about setting boundaries with others, they are about protecting your own energy and maintaining your vibration. First, never accept disrespect. Disrespect is a clear sign that someone is not valuing you as you deserve. When you allow others to disrespect you, you're lowering your own standards and sending a message to the universe that it's okay to treat you poorly. Disrespect is a negative energy that can drag you down and disrupt your coherent energy. Your thoughts and feelings about yourself should be based on respect and worthiness. When you encounter disrespect, it's essential to recognize it, set a boundary, and choose to surround yourself with people who uplift and honor you. Remember, your energy should always be in alignment with your highest self. The second important thing to remember is never accept manipulation. Manipulation is when someone tries to control you to get what they want. It often involves tricks or lies, and it can make you feel confused or upset. When someone manipulates you, they are usually projecting their own insecurities and needs onto you. They try to change how you feel or act to fit their own goals. Imagine someone who wants to get their way might try to make you feel guilty or responsible for their problems. They might use flattery, threats, or other tricks to influence your decisions. This is manipulation. It's a way of making you feel like you have to do something or change your behavior for their benefit. Manipulation can create a mismatch between what you truly want and how you end up feeling. For example, if someone keeps pushing you to do things their way, it can lead to feelings of frustration or sadness. You might start doubting yourself or feeling like you're not being true to your own desires. To protect yourself from manipulation, it's important to stay clear about what you want and who you are. Be sure about your own intentions and goals. When you are grounded in your sense of self, you can more easily recognize when someone is trying to manipulate you. Think of your intentions as a compass. If you know where you want to go, it's easier to stay on the right path. When someone tries to manipulate you, it's like they're trying to change your direction. If you have a strong sense of your own values and goals, you can stay true to yourself and not be swayed by their tactics. Maintaining a clear, coherent energy also helps you see manipulation for what it is. When you are centered and focused, you are less likely to be affected by other people's attempts to control you. Your energy should be stable and aligned with your own needs and desires. This way, you can set and maintain clear boundaries. The third thing to remember is never accept negativity. Negativity can be very harmful to your well-being. Think of negativity as a heavy cloud that can make your energy feel dark and heavy. When you let negativity from other people into your life, you're letting their low energy affect your own. This can create a mismatch between what you think, how you feel, and what actually happens in your life. To keep your energy positive and high, you need to stay away from negativity and focus on the good things. Let's explore why accepting negativity is a problem. When people around you are negative, they may complain a lot, criticize others, or spread bad vibes. If you accept this negativity, it's like you're allowing their bad energy to mix with yours. Over time, this can make you feel drained and unhappy. Instead of feeling energized and excited, you might start feeling low and stressed. Imagine you're working on a big project and you're excited about it. You're feeling positive and confident, but then someone comes along and tells you that your project is a bad idea or that you're not going to succeed. If you let this negativity affect you, it can make you doubt yourself and your project. This doubt can slow you down and make it harder for you to achieve your goals. Negativity doesn't just affect how you feel, it also impacts your energy field. Your energy field is like a bubble around you that is influenced by your thoughts and feelings. When this bubble is filled with positive energy, you feel good and attract more good things into your life. But when it's filled with negativity, it can pull your energy down and make it harder for you to create the life you want. To protect yourself from negativity, it's important to surround yourself with positive influences. This means spending time with people who lift you up and make you feel good about yourself. These people are supportive, encouraging, and happy. They help you stay focused on your goals and remind you of your strengths. You should also focus on positive experiences. This might include doing activities that you enjoy, like hobbies or spending time in nature. Engaging in activities that make you feel good can help keep your energy high and your mood positive. If you're dealing with a situation or person that brings negativity into your life, try to distance yourself or limit your interaction with them. This doesn't mean you have to cut people out of your life completely, but you can set boundaries to protect your energy. For example, if a friend is always negative, you might choose to spend less time with them or gently let them know that you prefer to focus on positive topics when you talk. The fourth important point to remember is never accept being undervalued. This is a crucial part of living a fulfilling life. When someone undervalues you, they are not seeing or acknowledging your true worth. This lack of recognition can have a significant impact on your self-esteem and can hinder your ability to create a life that truly reflects your potential. Let's break this down. When you feel undervalued, it means that others are not fully appreciating what you bring to the table. This might happen in various aspects of life, such as in your job, your relationships, or even within your social circles. For example, imagine you are working hard on a project at your job, putting in extra hours and offering valuable ideas. But if your efforts are not recognized and you are not given the credit you deserve, it can make you feel unimportant and overlooked. This feeling of being undervalued can start to chip away at your self-esteem and confidence. When you are not recognized for your contributions or value, it can also affect how you see yourself. If others don't appreciate you, it might make you start doubting your own worth. This can lead to a lower sense of self-worth and make you feel like you don't deserve better. But the truth is, everyone deserves to be recognized and valued for their unique qualities and contributions. You have to remind yourself of your worth and not let others' lack of appreciation define how you see yourself. To avoid being undervalued, you need to be very clear about what you deserve. This means understanding your own worth and not settling for less than what aligns with your vision of your highest self. When you know your worth, you set standards for how you expect to be treated and what you will accept in your relationships and situations. It's like having a clear picture of what you want and deserve, and making sure that everything in your life matches that picture. For instance, if you know you are a dedicated and skilled worker, you should seek out opportunities where your skills are valued and your efforts are rewarded. If you are in a relationship where your efforts and contributions are not acknowledged, it may be time to reassess that relationship. You deserve to be in environments where you are appreciated and where your value is recognized. When you maintain a high vibration and have clear intentions about what you want and deserve, you attract experiences that match your self-worth. This means that when you are confident in your own value and are clear about your intentions, you send out a positive energy into the world. This positive energy helps you attract people and situations that align with your self-worth. Let's explore the fifth point in detail. Never accept being taken for granted. This is a vital aspect of maintaining healthy and fulfilling relationships. When people take you for granted, they are not fully recognizing or appreciating the value you bring into their lives. This lack of appreciation can have a significant impact on your emotional well-being, making you feel unimportant and undervalued. Think about it this way: when you consistently give your time, energy, and care to others, but they don't seem to notice or reciprocate, it can be quite hurtful. Imagine you always help a friend with their problems, listen to them, and support them in their needs. But when you need similar support, they're not there for you. They might assume that you'll always be available to them without needing anything in return. This is what it means to be taken for granted. When this happens, it's easy to start feeling unappreciated. You might feel like your efforts are going unnoticed and that your value to the other person is not being fully recognized. This can lead to negative feelings such as frustration, sadness, and resentment. Over time, these feelings can affect your emotional health, making you feel less happy and more stressed. Recognizing your value is crucial. Everyone has unique qualities, talents, and contributions they bring into their relationships. When you understand your worth, you are better equipped to set boundaries and ensure that your relationships are balanced. You shouldn't have to settle for less than what you deserve or accept being undervalued. So what does it mean for relationships to be reciprocal? A reciprocal relationship is one where both people give and receive in equal measure. It means that if you are putting in effort, care, and attention, you should also receive these things in return. This balance is important for maintaining a healthy and satisfying relationship. In a reciprocal relationship, both individuals contribute to each other's happiness and well-being. For example, in a friendship, both friends should be equally invested in each other's lives. If one friend is always making plans, offering support, and showing up for the other, while the other friend is rarely available or engaged, this creates an imbalance. The friend who is always giving might start to feel like their efforts are not being valued. Similarly, in a romantic relationship, both partners should share responsibilities, support each other, and work together to make the relationship fulfilling. If one partner is consistently making sacrifices and compromises while the other partner doesn't show the same level of commitment, it can lead to dissatisfaction and emotional strain. Maintaining this balance helps ensure that your relationships are healthy and supportive. When you give and receive in equal measure, it helps create a positive and fulfilling dynamic. It ensures that you feel valued and appreciated, which is essential for your emotional well-being. To ensure that your relationships are reciprocal, it's important to communicate your needs and expectations clearly. Let the other person know how you feel and what you need from the relationship. Don't assume that they automatically understand your needs without you saying anything. Honest and open communication helps prevent misunderstandings and ensures that both parties are aware of each other's expectations. It's also helpful to observe how others respond to your needs and boundaries. Are they respectful and willing to make an effort to meet your needs? Or do they dismiss your feelings and continue to take you for granted? Their response can give you valuable insights into the health of the relationship and whether it is meeting your needs. Setting boundaries is not about being demanding or unreasonable. It's about protecting your own well-being and ensuring that your relationships are fair and balanced. By standing up for yourself and making sure that your needs are met, you help maintain a healthy and respectful relationship dynamic. Let's take a step back and see how these points fit into the larger picture of creating the life you want. Everything in the quantum field is energy, and your thoughts and emotions influence this energy. When you allow yourself to accept these negative influences, you're essentially misaligning your energy with your desired reality. Instead, focus on maintaining high-frequency emotions and clear intentions. When you do this, you attract experiences and people that match your highest self. You might wonder, how can you stay aligned with your highest self while dealing with these challenges? It starts with awareness. Notice when you're encountering disrespect, manipulation, negativity, undervaluation, or being taken for granted. Recognize these situations and consciously choose stockings in one personality and type 1 diabetes in another. Is it possible then, if I change my personality, that the disease exists in the old personality and I'm literally someone else? Is it possible then, from a biological standpoint, that they're healed and changed? So, to answer the question, it's difficult because we're breaking out of a biological mold. It's difficult because most people don't know that they have within their reach all the tools to do it, because they have, number 3, been conditioned on some level to believe that the new hairstyle or the new type of beer they're going to drink or the sports car or whatever it is going to change their state. And that's the hypnosis. And when I wrote The Placebo, You Are the Placebo, the biggest thing that I walked away with after writing that book was how hypnotized and programmed we really are. And that's bothered me ever since I wrote the book, because people watch things in their external environment and they accept, believe, and surrender to that information without any analysis, and they're programmed. And so when you and I start waking up and say no to those programs, and we start to think that we're maybe a little bit more unlimited than we're given credit for, and it's not driven for profits or self-interest, but when people start to wake up and say, hey, I healed myself of this condition, I healed myself of Parkinson's, I healed myself of lupus, I healed myself of cancer, I healed myself of rheumatoid arthritis, I've healed myself of chronic pain, I healed myself of food allergies. Hey, yeah, I was abused as a child. Yeah, that's right, I was beat up by a violent father, and I lived in vulnerability and fear for the last 25 years. But that fear has signaled the wrong gene, and I developed this genetic condition. It's not enough to just have a clear intention, because clear intentions have very little effect on the nature of reality. Most people don't know that they're moving in and out of the quantum field 7.8 times per second, that you're vibrating in and out of the field all the time, and every time you leave, you disappear, and when you come back, you disappear into that field of information, and you come back with information. But if you go out as the same person, you don't bring any new information back. Are you with me? If you look at quantum physics, the physics of possibility, it's really talking about the spiritual aspect of ourselves, because you couldn't explain a miracle, you couldn't explain a biological process, you couldn't explain a simple healing of a cut at this point without understanding the quantum model of reality, and that there are particles, which are matter, it's you and I and everything in this physical world. And then there's energy, and that energy has a consciousness, it has an awareness, and that energy is a field of information that we are an extension of, that we have access to, and that we spend so much of our life looking outside of ourselves instead of looking inside of ourselves, and that we are really conditioned to look just for particles and matter instead of energy and information. And truly, when people reach the end of their beliefs or they're facing crisis in their life, that's the moment they start to turn within and start to ask the bigger questions. And if you were astute enough to look at this in moments of contemplation, if you were wanting to hide God anywhere, it would be a good place to hide. It would be within the human being, because everybody's looking outside of themselves, and we look for reasons to change and regulate our emotional states. We think that things and people and external things will really fulfill emotions that we're trying to change within us, and that truly when we start to really investigate who we are and look to see how we do that and demystify it, I think once we start to demystify it, it can become a skill. And so Einstein was a super cool guy because he spent a lot of time inward, and at 12 years old, he asked himself this simple question: If I ride my bicycle at the speed of light and I turn my lamp on, I turn my headlight on, will it go on? So he thought about that question every single day of his life. Every day of his life, he would go out in a boat on a lake as a child and lay on his back in the boat and look up at the sky and think about this. And he was building models of understanding. He was working his best to be able to figure out how light and energy were related. He did it for 10 years. He was possessed by the concept. And finally, he was working as a third-rate clerk in a Swiss patent office, and he was watching this man fix the roof across the way. And he just paused for a moment, and he was watching him, and the moment he was watching him, he got this incredible vision, and he understood how light and energy were related. It was a very abstract vision, and it was so abstract and so dimensional that he had to go back to school to learn the mathematics to be able to explain what he saw. And so it became very interesting because when Einstein published his papers on relativity, he didn't say like, hey, this person said this and this person said this and I'm going to footnote this person. He just said, ladies and gentlemen, this is how it is. And it rocked the scientific community because he didn't really need anybody else as a reference. He had a discovery. And his discovery was so unique, and his brain really was wired for the understanding of light, and light was the ceiling of this reality. And so Einstein and Planck started doing these really interesting experiments where they were taking energy and they were putting energetic impulses into metals. And what they were looking to see is if electrons behave the same way as the very large. In other words, when an apple falls from the tree, it falls in a very specific way. It falls towards the center. It falls towards the larger body. So he reasoned, well, if we disturb electrons, and him and Planck were doing these experiments, if we disturb these electrons, then they should fall just like an apple falling from the tree towards the nucleus. It should be predictable, just like it's predictable in Newtonian physics and classical physics. Well, when they started disturbing the electrons, something very unusual happened. The electron gained energy, then it lost energy, and it gained energy, and it lost energy. And it gained energy, and it lost energy. And instead of it falling like a ball rolling down a hill, it was like a ball rolling down steps. All of a sudden, they became very aware that the subatomic world, the very tiny, didn't behave like the very large world. And so then they started to look for the electron. They started to try to measure it, and everywhere they looked for it, it appeared. And when they turned their back on it, and they no longer looked to measure it, it went from a particle that collapsed, called collapsing the wave function, back into energy. Now, this was a revolutionary moment because this meant that subjective mind, your mind has an effect on the objective world. That mind and matter are somehow correlated. And so this birth of quantum physics came along. And this quantum physics experiments say that you cannot do a quantum physics experiment without an observer around. In other words, a mind always has to be present because it will influence the outcome. You with me? So now that invisible field of spirit, that invisible field of information and energy, somehow you as an individual can influence the nature of reality with your mind. So now Einstein had a lot of trouble with this because he said God doesn't play dice and it doesn't work like this, but his brain was wired for light. And so he had the abstraction and he was getting the download of information, understanding the field of light. And the quantum physicists were saying, well, actually, there's a field of information beyond space and time, beyond light, where everything is unified. You can take two photons that have been somehow related in a specific atom and shoot them to the opposite ends of the universe. And the moment you affect one photon at the exact same time, the other one is affected. So they were being connected or affected in a realm faster than the speed of light. In other words, it would take time if you affected one for the other one to be affected. But if they were beginning to be affected at the exact same time, they were connected in a realm beyond physical reality. Are you with me? And so when the movie What the Bleep came out, and we basically made an effort to show that your mind has an effect on reality, and that in order for you to begin to change your reality, you got to change your mind and change the way you live your life. And we wanted people to become inspired by the process of creation, really give it a shot. And that independent of your gender, of your race, of the color of your skin, of your intellectual ability, independent of your past, independent of your age, that on some level we are all divine creators, and that these models of reality that have separated individuals have all been built on human beings living in a very limited state of mind. And so when quantum physics was born and the whole concept of reality began to unfold, people started to really challenge the nature of reality and that concept that you are somehow connected because you are made of photons and atoms and electrons, that on some level you are an organization, a community of 70 trillion to 120 trillion cells, and all of those cells are made up of atoms and molecules and chemicals. And all of those are working in a coherent form to express yourself as a physical body. Some of the research shows that, 90% of the thoughts that we think on a daily basis are the same thoughts as the day before. So if you think that your thoughts have something to do with your destiny, and 90% of your thoughts are the same known thoughts that you're always thinking, then your life should stay the same. Because the same thoughts lead to the same choices. The same choices lead to the same behaviors. Same behaviors create the same experiences. The same experiences produce the same emotions. Those same emotions tend to influence the way we think. And our biology, our neurocircuitry, our neurochemistry, our hormones, and even our gene expression is equal to how we think, how we act, and how we feel. And how you think, how you act, and how you feel is called your personality. And your personality creates your personal reality. That's it. So then it makes sense then. If you want to create a new personal reality, a new life, you're going to have to change your personality. And you've got to start thinking about what you've been thinking about and change it. You've got to become aware of your unconscious habits and behaviors, even how you speak. Then you have to look at the emotions that you live by every single day and decide, do these emotions belong in my future? So many people try to create a new life as the same person. In order to create a new personal reality, you've got to change your personality. So the principle in neuroscience says that nerve cells that fire together wire together. Thinking the same way, making the same choices, demonstrating the same actions, creating the same experiences that stamp the same networks of neurons into the same patterns, all for the familiar feeling called you. And you do that for 10 years in a row. You're going to hardwire your brain into a very finite signature because you're firing and wiring that way. And that box in the brain, that becomes our personality, becomes our identity. And by the time we're 35 years old, for the most part, we've done something so many times that the body now knows how to do it as well as the mind. And that's a habit. So we have these unconscious programs of behaviors, automatic habits, redundant emotional reactions, hardwired beliefs, perceptions, attitudes that function just like a computer program. You press go and it runs automatically. So then when it comes time to change, thinking positively is going to do nothing because your body has been conditioned for the most part into a program in the past. So the thought never makes it to the body because the body's on a different program. So how do we begin to influence the body so that the thought actually produces some type of change? So think about it. If you think an unhappy thought, you're going to feel unhappy. If you think you're a failure, you're going to feel like a failure. Once you feel like a failure, you're going to think you're a failure. And people get caught in these loops of thinking and feeling and feeling and thinking. And that redundancy is a conditioning process because all you need is an image or a picture or a thought and a feeling, a response, stimulus response. And so the people tend to condition their brain and body into the past. And so when it comes time to change, you got to leave that familiar territory. And any choice that you make, if you said, hey, I'm going to eat a better diet, I'm going to wake up early and work out, I'm going to do meditation, the moment you decide to do something differently, get ready, because it's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel unfamiliar. There's going to be some uncertainty. You're not going to be able to predict the next moment. That means you've left your known biology and you're stepping into the unknown. Now, theoretically, that sounds great, but if the body has been conditioned into a familiar feeling, it's in the known. The moment you take it outside the familiarity, it wants to go back to where it's comfortable. So the body starts influencing the mind. And this is where people say, I want you to start your diet tomorrow. Oh, why don't you start working out this evening? You're really never going to change. You're too tired. You have a headache. This doesn't feel right. And this is where people talk themselves out of it. Because if they respond to that thought leads to the same choice, which leads to the same behavior, creates the same experience, produces the same feeling. And then they say, this feels right? No, that feels familiar. So going from one state of mind and body to another state of mind and body, you got to cross a river. And the hardest part about change is not making the same choice as you did the day before. Now, once people understand that they're going to be uncomfortable, then the question is, what thoughts do you want to fire and wire in your brain? What behaviors will you demonstrate in one day? And the act of closing your eyes and rehearsing who you're going to be when you open your eyes begins to install neurological hardware in your brain to look like you've already done it. Now the brain, which is typically a record of the past, now becomes a map to the future. And if you keep doing it, the hardware begins to become a software program. And you start behaving differently. And then if you can teach your body emotionally what the future will feel like, that means then you're not going to wait for your wealth to feel abundant or your success to feel empowered or your new relationship to feel love. In fact, the moment you start feeling abundant, you're generating wealth.